Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Play the Tape. I am your host, Derek J. Fields. It is a blessing, an honor, and a privilege to come to you today. Listen, I got a very special guest. All my guests are special. I say that all the time because they are. They are my brothers. They are my sisters. They are my peers. They are my colleagues. They are people in this fight of the disease of addiction and all of mental health concerns and challenges that people face on a day-to-day basis. Listen, disclaimers. We are not licensed social workers, clinical social workers. We are not drug and alcohol counselors. We are peer support. We are certified peer support. So we can give suggestions and we can put you into some resources that has worked for us in our recovery and for other people who suffer from mental health and addiction concerns. There will be, and I'm starting to do this disclaimer too, there will be and there might be language or things that could be triggering, that could be stressors to our listening audience and to our viewers. And we just want you to understand and go in with an open mind and a willing heart to let the experience, strength, and hope of our guest and share and spread and let their testimony reach to you. And maybe you could pick something up for your recovery, for your wellness pathway that could help you on your journey. And that's what we're here at Play the Tape. That's what we do. We are a platform of advocacy, support, community, education for those who suffer from mental health concerns and the disease of addiction. Got to play that tape all the way through, the good and the bad, no matter what it is, good, bad, and ugly. We got to play that tape all the way through. So, like I was saying, my guest today is my sister. We met at peer support training when we got our certification, and that group of my brothers and sisters and my peers is a good group that I love so much, and we stay in contact. And she came up here. I asked her to do my show and share her experience, strength, and hope, give her testimony. And my guest, my friend, my sister, Holly Everette, how you doing today?
I'm doing so good, Derek. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you are doing this and you're being vulnerable and transparent and I appreciate that because we can do it together. We can recover together. It's about connection. And I'm so glad that you're up here willing to share your experience, strength, and hope and your testimony to be a light to those who need it. So I thank you. I
Yeah,
really
man.
do.
Problem. I told you I'd never really done anything like this before, but if sharing my story and my struggles, my experiences will maybe even help just one person out there, for me, it's worth it, right? So,
Absolutely. It's worth it.
yep.
And I have to keep that mindset myself because sometimes we can get so bogged down with life and this social media world, this instant gratification, likes, clicks, follows, that we forget that if it helps one person, just one person, to grab hold of that hope, then we've done our job. And I
It is.
appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, of course. I hope that, you know, even if the people listening, if, they might not, they don't have to have gone through everything that I went through, but even if they can like resonate with a small part of my story to, you know, if they're struggling, maybe light that fire in them to get clean. If they have always had the want to help people, maybe that will kind of be the starting force behind them,
Yeah,
doing what we did and saying, "Hey, I want to go take a peer support class." Because like
absolutely.
that, taking that class to me was a huge. I mean, it was just huge for me all around. I learned so many tools and just like great things to have in your back pocket when you're in recovery, but then also finding that community of people that I've never connected with a group of people like that, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, just so instantly, it was like as cliche as it sounds, a family, right? Like,
Right, right.
we were just all in there. We all openly shared. We just really became like a little family. So I hope that by doing this, maybe, you know, and I'm sure that's why you started this whole thing, to just reach people, help people.
Yeah,
Nobody has to live the way we were living, right? There's a better way, there's a better life, and I think that's just what inevitably we all want people to know and realize, if they're struggling, that there's
reach
better
out.
there's better out there.
Yeah,
So,
that's better out there. And reach out, ask for help. It's
yeah.
okay to ask for help. Yeah, I'm with you. That what you said, that to ignite that fire, or to that stimulus, that point where it's that catalyst, that
Yeah.
springboard of hope, jumping into the faith, jumping into the help, jumping into the recovery process. And it is a recovery process. And I'm glad that you shared that. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to go through everything that we've been through. But if something does resonate, if something does just spark or ignite that, hey, I want to help. Hey, I want to try out this class. Hey, I want to try recovery. Hey, I want to know what this means. I want to learn more about it for myself. And if my purpose is to help others, get the tools to do that as well. So, and yeah, that group of that group is a good group. My family, I love y'all so much, and I try to keep reaching out to people because I'm bad
You
at that.
look, you are the best one about everybody, I think, reaching out. I have fallen short myself, like not always responding to the group text, but I can say from my experience, you've done a great job at that. You know, you've been there for me. If I, like Derek, I need to go to a meeting, you are always the
Let's
one,
go.
been
Let's
right
go.
there for me. And it's so important to have that when you're in recovery, to have even just that one person that is gonna, if you're having a bad day, you're struggling, you ain't even got to go into that. All you got to say is, hey, let's, can you go to this meeting with me? And they already know. They're like,
Hmm.
yeah, you know, just that real support. Like I know that if I was ever in a dark place and I needed someone to pull me out of that, like hands down, 10 out of 10, even though we've only known each other for a couple of months, maybe, not even that, like the connection that I found within you for that is something that is like really super special to me. And I can really tell that you have such a passion and such a willingness to just want to spread your message and help people, that it's rare to find that in people, and to see people that are so, like, just from the inside out passionate about helping people. You and Shar are like honestly the two people that I've really seen that in, to a point like that I've never seen it in anybody else the way that I've seen it in y'all. And that touches my heart when I see people. What was your term? Your 10, your, like you say, it's like your 10 people or 8 people that
Oh
have.
yeah, you got 10 people in your support group, in your
Yeah,
in your circle right now that you could reach out to, and they would love and they would be there and ride for you. Absolutely.
for sure. I'm still getting my whole list of 10 people, but for now, I got two. I got two people,
Yeah,
and
you do.
you're one of the two. So, yeah, man, your support, has just meant the world to me. So,
Thank you. I give all the glory and honor to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I just do. That's just who I am. And I can't deny that because I wouldn't be in here without God's grace and his mercy. So I take no credit. I'm just thankful that he gave me an opportunity to meet people like Shar, and that gave me hope. because like you, I see hope in her. I see her passion. I see her love. And I got other, oh, I know what you're talking about. I got for the on the treatment side, where you know that the counselors and the
Yeah,
psychiatrists,
yeah,
right, I got
yeah,
6 people. Yes, I
that's
do.
it.
I got 6 people by I know by heart that have resonated with me and left an impression, and Shar is one of them.
Yeah,
That they care, that there's a sense of humanity there, because they understand that this disease of addiction and that mental health challenges are life and death,
yeah,
and they just want the best for us. So yes, I do have 6 people that I can name off the top of my head, because they're in my heart, that I know they cared about me, I know they wanted the best for me. And and you are, you're special to me too, because you're my sister, you're my friend, you're my peer. You made in God's image just like me. And when you ask to go to these meetings, that resonates in my heart, because that does me good. Because I have a battle buddy, that's a term we have in the military. I have a battle buddy that I can go with, and I don't have to go by myself. I don't mind going, but I have a battle buddy that I could ride with or rides with me, and we can go and get some experience, strength, and hope. Go celebrate recovery. Go and to these different 12-step fellowships and learn and grow and add something to our first aid kit or our toolbox that we can use for ourselves, or utilize for ourselves. And or hey, Derek, Holly, I'm in a bad way right now. Okay, what you need from me? Because I got some tools here. I got a first aid kit here, and it's just suggestions. It's not never advice. It's just suggestions. Some things that have worked for me in my recovery that I just want to share with you. So again, I thank you, but your love and your support is just as special to me, and I'm just very thankful that we met. I'm thankful that we all met, and sometimes I fall short too, but it's okay to get back up. And
absolutely.
yeah, so listen, you can start your story and your testimony and your experience, strength, and hope wherever you want to. Wherever you want to. We have time, and I really want to get into your experience, strength, and hope, and your testimony, and give you an opportunity to share, what it was, what you how it was when you before, how it was before, how it is when you went through it, and then definitely get to the recovery part of it.
For sure, yeah. So like for me now, the person that I am like here today, and then you know I'll go into a lot of the things that I went through, but I don't feel like the same person at all, and I think a lot of people have had that experience, but um, yeah, it's wild the road that addiction can take you down. Um, you know, I I come from, and I don't want to like, I don't like to do stereotypes, but come from like a regular middle class family that didn't have no kind of like off the wall crazy stuff going on. And
Mm-hmm.
um I was my addiction started, I was probably about 13 years old, and I found that this is a common thing with other opiate addicts where you have an injury, you go to a doctor, and that doctor starts over prescribing you for, something that you probably didn't need opiate medication in the first place for. And then for me, my experience was when I started taking that medication, I didn't know what withdrawal was. I just was taking a medicine that my doctor gave me, and then next thing you know, one day I think I forgot to take my medicine, and I thought I had the flu. And then
Mm.
somebody was like, "Oh, you don't have the flu." That's called being dope sick. I didn't know what that was. So like before I understood what was happening, it had me. It got its claws in me, and little did I know that it was about to take me down a crazy crazy ride. I just at that point I didn't grasp. what was really happening. I just I was like, okay, well, I kind of like taking these pills anyway because they make me feel good, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
make you feel good. So you keep taking them, and then um a month turns into 6 months, and then 6 months turns into a year, and then I was so young, you know, um, after probably 2 or 3 years of taking my prescription, I got a new doctor. The new doctor took one look at my thing and was like, "Oh no, 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 we're not going to give somebody your age all of these narcotics." Took me off of everything, all at once, and then that turned making me have to start buying um my prescription pills, drugs, whatever you want to call it, off of the street, which like I one of the things that I kind of touched on with you is for me it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
It was like the devil like so slowly put things the way he did things, it wasn't a drastic change. It wasn't I woke up one day and I was shooting heroin. It was you're you're taking a prescription and then you have to start buying that prescription off of the street from drug dealers, right? And then,
Right.
you know, I think another common thing with other opiate addicts that I've heard is they started cracking down on everybody's um, prescription painkiller prescriptions at like all at one time. So the shift kind of happened from where nobody could get pills anymore. So somebody, I've heard this story so many times, but you'll have somebody come up to you and be like, "Hey, this is the same exact thing. It's a lot stronger and it's a lot cheaper. Do you want?"
Mm.
And when you're going through those withdrawals and you're so sick, you'll do anything. You'll take anything to feel better.
Right.
And it's so sad, but that's the truth. Like I'll never forget just being so sick that I couldn't function. I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't do anything. And you know,
How did you find out that it was the withdrawal point? Because you said it was like around 13 and it would took what you was taking them for what 2 to 3 years. So that would
yeah,
put you around about 16, 15, 16. When you had got first, when did you get your when did you experience withdrawal for that first time?
probably about 6 months into after having been prescribed for the first.
Mm-hmm.
But my brother also took um, painkillers, so he was the one that pointed out to me, "Hey, you don't have the flu. You're so
Um,
sick." He was the one that um, kind of kind of told me what was going on, and I didn't know, and I I didn't know that I had to take these pills every day, and if I didn't, I would start getting sick, and then once you realize it, then that's when it's on, right? That's
right.
when you're on the hunt every day, and that's when your life kind of turns into get money, get get drugs, get money, get drugs, money, drugs, get find ways to get money to get your drugs, and that's like over
Yes.
time, that's what your life becomes. That's
You
all.
you you got that right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
because what kind of life is that? In a realistic, sound-minded person, like why would you ever choose to want that? You wouldn't. You don't choose that. It kind of it's slow for me. It just kind of slowly happened. But then I also lived in a home where my mother and my brother, like I kind of said a little bit, they were also taking prescription painkillers. And it wasn't a obvious loud thing, but it was something that was happening. No, our other family members didn't know it. The community didn't know it. But inside of that house, we were all drug addicts. like
that is they talk about, as when I as I'm in school too, and I'm trying to learn how to become a drug and alcohol counselor. I'm taking some classes right now for that, where it talks about this whole thing between what nurture versus nature. You know, depending, are we predisposed because of our genetics, or is it because of also products of our environment? You know, are we do we have a gene or a trait that, because of whatever trauma or what, it gets released, and now, okay, that trait that skipped maybe two or three generations is in our children now, or our child? Or also, if it is, does it gets perpetuated by the environment that
Yeah.
we grow up in? Because there's a lot of things that I took from my dad, um, on the how to deal with certain instances and community, like especially in the Black community. We take, pride in what happens in the home stays in the home. We don't go to therapy, therapists, or counselors. That's just not a thing that we do. Of course, churches and is prevalent, and definitely my faith in God has definitely sustained me. But it's where the environment that we was raised in does have an impact on how we see the world and how we interact with certain things.
Oh
Because if
yeah.
we believe this is okay to do and this is normal,
Yeah.
then, and no one is interceding or stepping in to be like, hey, wait a minute,
Well, then,
this isn't good.
as it sounds, my mom would actually give me these pills in a loving way because you get sick if you don't have it. She didn't want to see me get sick. She knows what it's like. She's also taking them. She would give them to me in a way. When you hear a parent giving a child drugs, you think that they're a horrible person, but in like reality, what it was she didn't want to see me suffer in the
Right.
short term. You know, in the long term, if she didn't want to see me suffer, what she should have done looking back is just cut it. You got to stop somewhere. We should have put the stop like right there. But when you're in that mentality, you don't see it like that.
True.
And she, she was doing her best in the moment to try because at this point I was still in high school, you
Hmm.
know. So I had to get up and go to school every day. She didn't want to see me sick and suffering, so it was a loving thing
It's
that
what she knew to do. It's what she knew to do to
exactly
help her daughter. And I get that. And that's where the grace comes in, understanding. Because some people, when I know for me, I keep it on me, when I was learning about my mental health and my addiction, I had to look at my dad and understand that, man, he grew up the way our parents, we don't never, I keep it on me. I didn't take in consideration how my dad grew up and what affected him in his
yeah
childhood, his early adulthood, to make him get to a point where he had to rely on alcohol. He's in a good place now where he's sober and clean. But I never, until I had to look into myself to understand my addiction and my trauma, it took me to understand he is not, and we don't justify what people do, but it's giving them some grace.
for sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, to understand, like, okay, my mother, my dad, they did the best they could with what the information that they had and what they knew on how
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah.
And even though I went through these struggles with my mom, you know, she's now almost she's more I can't believe I don't know almost 4 years sober at this point. Like,
Yay.
but you know, she was she might not have made all the right choices, but she was there and she
Right.
never turned her back on me. She never, you know, left me alone and I will always be thankful for my mom even
Hmm.
for those messed up times that we went through together. You know, we've grown up a lot over these last few years and have really like mended our relationship and like now I don't know where I would be without my mom because she's such a like an important person in my life. Um, but it it we went through some really hard times together. It was it was some struggle, some some times that we really all struggled living in that house together, me, her, and my brother, um, because we were all living in active addiction.
Right.
And it was crazy. I think I was the first one in the household that started using drugs intravenously,
Mm-hmm.
but once that kind of happened, it was like a domino effect, and everybody started using drugs intravenously. And I feel like when that happened, that's when the game changed, right?
Right. Right.
Because you weren't just, it's so funny how you can be addicted to painkillers and have this mentality of, well, I'm a pill head, but at least I'm not a junkie. That's disgusting. I'll never stick a needle in my arm to get high. I'll never be that person. I'll never be that person. I'm too good for that.
Yeah.
Um,
I've said that too. I've said
it
that too. Yeah.
it it took one time, and that's all. It was after that. It was over, done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, um, it's so dangerous for people to have the mentality of that can never happen to me, because let me tell you, it can.
It sure can.
it
It
can
sure can.
and quick. I'll be driving in my car and see somebody homeless, panhandling for money, and I'll have that thought go through my head of, like, that could never be me. And then I catch myself and I'm like, oh, but life has its way of throwing
Humbling.
you and showing you really quick that you don't have control. Like,
Right.
you do in some sense, but certain things are out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control if you lose your home or your job. You can't. Like, um, yeah, that's for me one thing that I've tried to keep very, like, prevalent in my mind of, I'm so thankful for where I'm at, but to never lose, like, lose the mentality of, if I don't work to keep where I'm at, I could lose it. And I don't want it to happen, but I could. You should never have the mentality that that can't happen to you. That's, I
Right.
think, pretty much just what I'm getting at. But yeah, it took one time for me to use drugs intravenously, and then after that it was just kind of off off to the races. My mom started using like that, my brother started using like that, and then we all kind of enabled each other's use. um my grandfather died, which was my mom's dad. And I think when he passed away, he was like the closest thing I had to a dad growing up. And after he passed away, it was like, we didn't have to worry about hiding it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The person we really cared about finding out was granddad. He was kind of like head of household. Once he passed away, things just went downhill in a bad way for all of us. And I think we all kind of ventured out. At this point, I was around 18 years old, 18, 19 years old, and, you know, started kind of venturing out on my own in the world, which is crazy because most kids at this point in their life are going to college and doing things like that. And
Right.
I was, you know, not. I was taking a different route, but that was about the age that I moved over here to Greenville. And Kate, Kate, she was in our,
Yeah. Absolutely.
yep, she was at this point was also actively using and let me come stay with her. And yeah, we were at Kate's house and there was a third roommate there, and we started noticing that this third roommate, every 20, 30 minutes, she would have a new guy come in, stay for about 20 minutes, leave, and then a new one would come, and we were like, "What are you doing?" And that's when she kind of introduced us to the world of Backpage.
Mm-hmm.
Um which is crazy because again, you never thought you would be that person,
Right.
right? Never. And then there you are one day and you're selling your body to pay for your drugs, and it's humbling and just crazy, but that's where I was at. And it's that I think that was really a turning point for me in my addiction, just
Right.
because how much lower as a female, that's how I felt, can you get than that? You don't, what's special about you if anybody can have it for, a couple $100s.
Yeah.
I think having
Uh-oh. Hold on. Your internet. We back. We good. Yeah, you were saying the worth of
it
the couple
does,
$100.
it
Right.
takes a big toll on your self-worth, and just sends you deeper into that spiral of addiction.
Was that your and I always let people know if there's something that I ask that you're not ready to.
No, no, no. You're
Okay. How long was that stint of your life, of the time period, was that?
I would say it was from age 19 to 26.
And so from 19 to 26, you're in that lifestyle and the addiction and the mental health. What was the moment of clarity for Holly that was like, okay, enough of this. Enough of this. I'm not better or worse than anybody, but I do have some self-worth about myself that this ain't it.
Yeah, and this is something else that I wanted to touch on, but
Hmm.
for me, I had used um, psilocybin mushrooms as a way to kind of relieve some mental whatever was going on. It was my way of kind of doing therapy.
Hmm.
I had taken some mushrooms. I was um at I forget. I was at a fancy place getting ready to go out to dinner. I was dressed up really nice, and then I was like, "Dang, I need to use before I go out cuz I don't want to have to come back." I was in like this beautiful dress. I had my hair done, my makeup done, and I looked at myself in the mirror with this needle in my arm, blood running down my arms, and I was on that ride of the mushroom a little bit, not
Hmm.
where I was like having a crazy trip, but just enough to where it did something to my brain that was just like I the way that I saw myself on the outside at that point in time, which was like, beautiful, dressed up, nice, that's not how I felt on the inside.
Right.
And
Right.
I can't explain it, but I just, like, I prayed to God to just take this won't out of my life, to just get it out of me. And, it, for me, I just I did not have that desire to want to continue to use after that point. I just, as crazy as it sounds,
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. That's kind of my revelation too. That's kind of
yeah,
where I'm at with you. Yeah. Go ahead.
and it's it's hard to tell that story like that because it doesn't happen like that for everybody,
Hmm.
and I never want to like discourage someone because if it's not happening like that for you, I don't want people to think that they're doing something wrong. But just for me, it it flipped that switch, so to speak, and um, I was able to put the drugs down, which I too, I'm on a MAP program,
Hmm.
medication assisted therapy. So for me, because I was doing the methadone, I was able to just put the heroin and fentanyl down without having the withdrawals because I was on the methadone. Um, but like that's not everybody's experience. Um, but yeah, for me, it was a combination of those things. Being on a MAP program, having the psilocybin um, kind of work in my brain and change the way that my brain worked. And then, God's grace. Like, that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing, right? Like,
Right.
if I hadn't had his, like, hand on me through all of that whole experience going on, I wouldn't be here to talk today to you about like it would never
That's
have
crazy.
come to fruit. Like it's crazy to look back now and think how everything.
Yeah.
But you know, every everything kind of just it was like the perfect storm for me to recover, kind of. You know,
Yes.
um, and that was something that me and you kind of touched on earlier too. Was because I was able to stop like that, I didn't really put in what I consider to be like the work, right? Like I
Hmm.
didn't go to meetings. I didn't have a support network or support group other than my counselor at the methadone clinic. But I knew Shar for 2 years before that class, and we were never really like close like that before. I
Right.
would,
Until
I would
yeah,
go
until now.
yeah, I would go into my counseling things and just be like, "Yep, all good, everything's good, no problems." And like we never really had like any actual in-depth conversations.
Hmm.
And yeah, man, something I'm so thankful for that woman now, but it's crazy to think, I didn't utilize that resource for so long, but um it's um it's crazy what taking that peer support class really did for my mentality about recovery, my recovery, and just your mental health in general.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, it's a big deal because that's where it starts. You know, um, like they say, you don't relapse when you pick that drug up. You relapse when you start thinking about it. You
Hmm.
relapse when you start thinking, well, whose number do I still have? Uh, you know,
Yeah.
how can I do this? Even though you're not in your mind saying, I'm going to go get high, the wheels start turning, right?
Hmm. Yes, they do. Yes,
Yeah.
they do. It's funny how, not funny, but I'm glad that we do this because I was thinking on my ride home because I'm giving my son my car. I have an '08 Corolla that is a good car, good condition, and he'll be 16 this year, and I want to surprise him with a car. And I was running around making sure everything is situated and good, and I'm trying to get me something, but he don't even know he getting it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, and on my way back home, I was just thanking God for his grace and his mercy because something you said resonated with me when I look back and through all of that, the overdoses, almost dying a couple times, the using in front of my son, the disappearing from my children, leaving them for 2 or 3 years when I was a good dad. Well, I was in a good dad, an involved father, and I let that drug or that mentality or that lifestyle just take that away from me. And I look back and I got a relationship with my daughter again. We're building one. I got to see my grandson for the first time, and I get pictures and I communicate with my daughter. My son is coming to visit, um, and I got to celebrate with him last year when he turned 15, and he's coming to spend a couple weeks with us. And then I look back on all those times I was homeless, sleeping in my car, how God kept me, and through all of that to be here right now just to say thank you, Lord, and to show my gratitude and to be, and for us to be hope.
Yep.
Yeah, like in it, I would have been like, why? I was like, why is this happening? But now I'm like, oh, I
See,
see, I
I
see,
see it.
I see it, I see it, I
And I'm
see
thankful
what.
for it. I'm
Yes,
thankful.
me
I've
too.
never in my life thought I would be thankful for all of the messed up things that I went through, but I am. You know, like I genuinely, I'm glad that I have this perspective now because not many people have been through that and
Right.
come out on the other side to tell their story. And there has to be a reason God brought us from that point to where we are now. Like there
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't do anything just because, right? He's
Right.
not going to put us through all of that the suffering that we went through just because he wants to because he's a mean God. He wouldn't do that. It's taken me this long to realize that, you know, my story is could possibly, you know, be one day what somebody hears and is like, wow, you know,
Exactly.
I'm going through a lot of the things that she's talked about going through, and if she was able to get through it, then maybe I can too, you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
when
That's the
I
hope.
see all of the girls when I would volunteer at the syringe exchange and you see all of the working girls coming through there, you know that's what they're doing. Um I never reached out first because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But if I so badly wanted to wrap my arms around each one of those girls and be like, you are worth so much more. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like you're worth more. Like you are beautiful and you when you're ready, the help is there and you
Yeah.
can do it. You know, like it's it's I wish I had had that when I was in that point of my life. Like I just wish somebody would have wrapped their arms around me and told me that I was worth more. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's 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 a hard thing to talk about, but it's something that for me and my own recovery, I think is something that it helps me as much as it helps the person listening to me tell my story.
Right.
Um, I've never I never really understood the concept of you keep what you have by giving it away more than I have like right now,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And you know, like just even to be here and be doing this, I'm thankful for like I'm thankful for it all, the good days, the bad days, the hard times, the you know everything now because you know I I shouldn't be here realistically. All the overdoses, all the times that I would drive under the
Right. Oh, all the times driving under the
oh
influence.
you think about that stuff, man, and
Whoo.
but so many people, my best friend, she had never been in any trouble legally, did one small little mind altering substance, got in her car, drove, woke up handcuffed to her hospital bed, went to prison for 8 years, and killed somebody. As
Yeah.
sad and crazy as that is, not intentionally, but she took someone's life because she made the choice to get high. You know, Kate will never see like a normal person again. Will never drive a car. Will never like be able to live the life that she had before because she, you know, used and she, you know, overdosed and had a brain injury. It's it's crazy because so many things can happen and has happened to a lot of people, but God brought me through for a reason. I think that's where I was
Absolutely.
trying to get with that is
Yes.
he brought
Yes.
me through for a reason, and I want to use my voice and the things that I've learned and my perspective to try to help that next person. Maybe not even have to go through all the things that I went through, right?
Right. Right.
If we could get to those people before they get to that point and stop them, like that would be perfect. But even no matter where they're at in their journey, they deserve to live this life of sobriety.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves this. I mean, it's
Yes.
it's
It's good. It's good for everybody. It's a way of life that's is good for not only those who have mental health concerns or conditions and the disease of addiction. It's a good way to live just in general, just to be grateful, just to understand that in all things that we rejoice and that we give thanks to God, and we are just humble about things, and we don't take things for granted. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Right. I know I don't. I know I used to, but I, like you said earlier, just the humility, how life can humble you to the point where, and sometimes I have to keep myself, I have to stay vigilant. We had talked about this a couple of days before ago off air about how we have to stay vigilant because this thing can manifest itself in other ways, and can and to and the enemy uses these distractions to separate us or to get us off our path of wellness and recovery, to have us
absolutely.
grumbling, have us murmuring, have us complaining. And then I have to take a step back, be like, whoa, 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 am I complaining about
Yeah,
sweeping my kitchen floor? I
yeah,
know I didn't. 6 years ago I didn't have a floor to sweep. I was
yeah.
yeah.
That's so true. Yeah. For me, one of the ways that I really saw my addiction manifesting itself was food. I
Mm-hmm.
I started like overeating like crazy, which is something that I've been on a weight loss journey or whatever. It's something that I'm normally very mindful of.
Right.
Had a few stressful events happen in my life. Next thing you know, here I am with a chip bag in my hand, eating tubs of ice cream just because it made me feel good. It
Right.
like that's pretty much what it just made. It was comforting. It felt good. It tasted good,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's I'm so thankful that I took my peer support training because I now know that that is my addiction manifesting itself in another way.
Absolutely. Yes.
Before that, I probably would have just like wrote it off as you're just overeating, like not really thinking much into it. But that's one of the things where how you said you've got to stay vigilant
Yes.
because you there's and that's just one example, but there's so many. My mom struggles with a gambling addiction too, um and it's harmless. She likes those little internet casino gambling, the ones it's kind
Yeah.
of you hit the button and it seems harmless, but I mean, if you're an addict, it's a slippery slope, right?
Yes, it
Like,
is.
um, yeah, that's something for me that in my recovery I've really had to be like hyper vigilant about is uh food is not really that dangerous to my recovery, but next time, whatever it is could be,
Could be. Exactly.
it
It
could
could
be.
be. I agree with you. The drugs was one of mine, but mine started from pornography and masturbation and sexual immorality. That is the desire to use is gone, but that desire, because that was my hook when I was in my that's growing up in the environment that I grew up in, uh, to have some sense of control
Yeah.
was that lust and pornography and masturbation, sexual self gratification. Felt good, and then that hooked me. That's the devil's hook. And now, hey, Derek, go add some substances to that to see if it makes it even better.
Yep.
And 20 years later, okay, I'm homeless, uh sold all my stuff, smelly, stinky, just a shell of who I was. And now, since the disease, since the substance is gone, now I have to work on these other things, these other behaviors, these other coping mechanisms, where if there's a struggle, do not pick up no matter what. But
Yep.
also, I don't have to go to these other things as well to supplement not using substances anymore, because they're
Yep.
just as dangerous as too. Because sex and drugs go hand in hand for me. If there's drugs, there's going to be sex. If there's sex, there's going to be drugs. So I definitely have to be vigilant on all things, on how it manifests itself, because I don't want to look up one day and I have a stem in one hand and a rock in the other. And I'm like, how in the heezy did I get back here?
Right.
So yeah, I like that what you said, hyper vigilant. You got that
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
For sure. And then like for me, the kind of what you were just talking about, that's one of the big reasons why I appreciated you so much going to that first meeting with me. Because if you hadn't gone to that first meeting with me, I probably wouldn't have gone. And then I'm trying to start to do those go to meetings and things like that because I want to really um like like build that solid foundation. But I never really, the way that I got clean, I never went and worked through a lot of my traumas and worked through a lot of the, you know, really bad things that I went through.
mhm.
And I think in order for me to have a sustainable long term recovery, that's something that's important.
I love that you said that. I love that you said that. That is so powerful. And that's what I was just about to ask you. Is there something that you believe honestly and open-minded and willing for yourself that you could do? And man, I love that. That's so strong and so
Yeah,
powerful. Yes,
it's something that
absolutely.
I I have, and just it really even the last few weeks I've noticed that it's something that I I just I feel the need for in my life. So like
Good.
for me, I another big thing that helped me, especially in my early recovery, was microdosing. Um, that was like a huge thing for me that helped in the beginning. That's a great tool and it's a great thing to utilize. But for me, if I don't have like that solid just support and that place that I can go to where everybody has the same goal
Hmm.
and the same, like idea. Um, that's just something I really felt the need to get more active and be a more active participant in my recovery.
Absolutely.
I mentioned to you that I had a using dream so real and vivid that it scared me.
Hmm.
I've been clean. I'd never had anything like that, and it scared me. It scared me to the point where I was like, I don't want that to be a possibility. What can I do to like put some armor up to
Yeah, right.
like
And that's what it was. It was a warning. It
yeah,
was, hey, listen, this is going to be something that we have to do for the rest of our lives. We're
yeah.
going to be in recovery and on a path to wellness for the rest of our lives. We can't graduate from it. We're not going to get a diploma or a degree or a certificate. But that was just a warning for you not to, because they used to scare me too. But there's just and sometimes I still get them. I haven't had one in a while, but
I had
I still get other dreams
Yeah.
that are because they're still, God is telling me I need to be vigilant of still different strongholds that can, again, what we talked about, that can manifest itself in other ways. Yeah, that can lead me back to picking up that drug or that substance. So yeah, that it was just a warning to let you know.
Well, I
Yeah, go
heard
ahead.
it. I heard
Yeah,
it.
take the warning.
I got yeah.
Yeah.
It scared me. I'd never had anything that realistic, and
Hmm.
um
You
I
wake up like, oh, did I use? Am I still good?
that's how I
I'm
felt. I mean, it was,
that's how I feel. Yes.
oh my gosh, like just down to the little details.
Yes, it
Like,
is.
it was wild, and I really think it's important. You've got to put just as much work into your recovery as you did to get it at like getting high.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I have fallen short on that, and that's something that I need to do better on.
Yeah,
And
that's good wisdom right
yeah,
there.
and I'm gonna do everything I can do to never go back to that person, that way of life. I'm not saying that it could never happen. I'm saying that I'm going to actively use
Yeah,
every tool I've got in my pocket to keep that from happening.
good.
So,
Yep. And we can do it together as a community. Yes.
absolutely.
So
Um,
listen, we are almost out of time, and this has been great. And I always like to end things on gratitude, even though we've been talking about gratitude, because gratitude is what helps us, it helps ground us when those thoughts or when those dreams come or when those cravings or those triggers or stressors hit. I know for me, I use gratitude to keep me grounded, to bring me back to the present. So for you, what are a couple things that you are grateful for, Holly?
I'm grateful for that I have a great MAT program here in Greenville that's free to me. I'm grateful for my family and my friends. I'm grateful for my dogs. You know how I'm
Yeah,
I'm
I got one too. He sleep right there. I got to walk him in a little bit.
silly as it sounds, like that's day to day. That's one of the things that really keeps me going. I'm grateful for my perspective and mentality that I have now that God has given me through recovery.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for the opportunity to wake up, to be clean, to
Hmm.
share God's love and grace, and to do things like I'm doing right now.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it better myself. I love that so much. Yeah, I'm grateful for another day of being clean and sober, and another day to spread God's love and grace. Absolutely. And hope, man, and just being here, being clean, and
Yep.
not having to live the way I used to in
Even on
that
the
addiction. Even on the bad days, right?
it's better than one good day of getting high.
Absolutely, it is.
Yep.
I couldn't say it. No, thank you. Listen, this, and you was worried. You
I,
did great. I am like, listen, this has been a blessing to me, and we pray that everybody that I've had up here so far, that this is something that can be utilized for your recovery and your wellness journey, and this will be here for forever. If the internet's here and the world is here, this will be here for forever, and we hope that Holly's experience and her strength can ignite that fire for wellness and recovery. And I thank you again, Holly, for coming up here and sharing what you did. And it's such a blessing that you blessed this platform the way you did. And I thank you so much.
yeah, man. Thank you for the opportunity. And like I said, I'm thankful for you as a friend, as a peer, as just somebody that I can have now as, a support system. I'm just thankful that God put you in my life. He doesn't do anything like not on purpose. He purposely put you in my life, and thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you too, Holly. He purposely put you in my life too. And I thank you and I love you very much, my friend, my sister. And listen, I'm going to talk to you soon. Until next time, you take care. Okay.
All right,
All right.
Derek.
Peace. And that's what we do here. Another episode. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, with hope comes love, with love comes faith, and with faith comes recovery. I can't, but we can. Together we can do this because it's about connection. It's about community. It's about being together in all aspects and giving God the glory. For my Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ, I say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And for those out there who are struggling with mental health conditions or concerns or challenges and the disease of addiction, you are not alone, because there are people that will jump in that pit with you, because we know the way out. Listen, this has been a fantastic episode. All episodes have been fantastic. But until next time, peace.